Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining. This is our third webinar in the series with See Spot Behave, and Debbie and Diane are both on, which is awesome. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves because they have all kinds of fancy letters behind their names, and I don't like messing that up. So I am going to let them introduce, but I want to thank you guys for attending. Just so you know, this is a monthly series, and we have a schedule of all kinds of great topics going through January. So each month, tomorrow, the July information is going to be live on the website. We're ready for that to go. So we'll be posting the webinar recording will be available as well. We also have all of the training tools from past webinars that are available to you guys. So if there's anything that you need, I know we sent out some stuff, but we've got all of the documents, all the links from the webinar. So if you need any of that, you want a refresher, just shoot me an email, michelle@grr-tx.com, and I'll get you the link for those. And we are adding in a bonus period after the body language to talk about firework preparedness and how to help kind of navigate getting through, which I think is going to be a 3-day nightmare next weekend. So Debbie and I talked about it, and she agreed that we could add in some bonus stuff to help you guys on that. But we're going to start with the body language session first. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Debbie.
Well, hi, everybody. Thanks, Michelle. And yes, the bonus part for the fireworks will be more of a discussion than a big presentation. So we just want to make sure that you have what you need to be ready for. I agree, it's probably going to be a long weekend since it's going to be Friday. So, well, let me get over and share the presentation so we can see. So I'm going to share my screen and get everything going as my screen does something strange. That never happens to anyone else, I'm sure. Yeah, there we go. Ha-ha. Ha-ha. That's always the thing. There we go. Give me a thumbs up if you can see the screen. Excellent. There we go. Thank you so much. Okay. Let me make one more. Yay. There we are. And I'm going to move one thing here. Okay. Well, I'm going to just start with the title and kind of the purpose of the presentation. Then I'll introduce myself, and Diane will introduce herself. We'll talk a little bit of See Spot Behave. And then we're going to jump into one of my absolute favorite things to talk about. The language and the way dogs communicate is so complex and interesting, and probably could be 3 more webinars. We could talk about this for a lot. So one of the first things I want to talk about is the title is, are we listening, or actually are we watching? We're going to really dive into dog communication, and we're going to strip it down. And you'll notice that actually the design is pretty stripped down, because dog communication is very subtle, very, very thinly sliced. And because we are neither, our communication is robust, we tend to miss a lot of it. So first, I want to introduce myself as a presenter, and Diane as she's co-presenter. She's also going to be manning the chat and kind of answering questions as they come up. So if you have questions or comments in the chat, Diane will be jumping in for that. My background is actually that I'm a history nerd. I'm a language nerd. All my life, I've been an animal nerd from when I was a tiny, tiny kid. I was bringing animals in the house. When I was about 2, the first animal I caught was a 4-foot snake. My mom was thrilled. So I've always been bringing animals in. But when I finished my career in teaching high school, it was about the same time that I found a dog that was needing a great deal of training. She was a reactive dog. And when I took her to a trainer, I was absolutely fascinated. And I started a second career as a dog trainer. And I became a dog trainer and then a dog behavior consultant, because it was absolutely fascinated with the psychology behind dog learning. And I just never went back. So I've got a ton of different letters behind my name. I'm a certified trainer. I'm a certified behavior consultant. I'm fear-free certified, all kinds of other stuff. What that really means is I'm the nerd of the outfit. So I like to do the research. I like to do the behavior plans. And if there's something we need to know, I'm going to do the deep dive to find out what we need to know. Diane is the other half of the outfit, and I'm going to let her introduce herself, but I'm going to have to tell you first, she's the jock if I'm the nerd. So here's Diane.
That's a lot of pressure. Then everybody thinks I can actually, do a minute mile or something like that. So my name's Diane Smith, and I started See Spot Behave. It's been, God, it's scary, over 10 years ago in California, actually. And from what you can see in the picture there, the blonde dog to my, let's see, it would be my right, that was my dog Harley, and she is the one who got me into training in California to start with. She was a Husky Chow mix, and she was insane. But lovely, sweet girl, but she decided to redecorate my phone lightning. Anyways, never mind. So she was the one who decided to redecorate my kitchen by pulling the counter tiles off my kitchen. So from there, had to go and do training with her, and learned a lot as I was working with her with a behaviorist in California, and fell in love with it. Not only fell in love with her and fell in love with training. So from there, started doing basic training, and then started doing my own business training. And through that process, one of the main reasons I started See Spot Behave was I saw that there was a niche that wasn't being met for a lot of people, meaning that a lot of the things that we're looking for our dogs training wise happens in the home, happens out and about, and a lot of training takes place in classes, which is fantastic. But I really wanted to focus on training dogs for the people world. And so I started with my dog Harley. She ended up being a therapy dog and was able to do all kinds of things. We hiked, we went on trips and everything, but ran into that a lot with a lot of potential and future clients. And so that's why I started it. Then when I moved here to Austin and met Devi, we both had the same kind of love and idea of, really focusing on training and behavior that affects people in their homes, in their lives, and how we can help them, integrate and make a happier home. So I've been doing this now for, there again, over 10 years now. I think we're working on 13 now. So, and I'm just really fortunate to be here today to talk about also one of my favorite things, which is dog body language and how they talk to us, even when we're not paying attention.
So true. Okay. So what we're going to do today is we're going to learn a lot about dog culture and dog language. And I think that if we were to talk to some of the scientists out there, they would really argue about the word language, because there's some definitions of language that include grammar and structure and sentences. And so what they would rather we say would be dog communication. But as we do more and more research with dogs and dolphins and other animals like bonobos, we're starting to see that animals that we didn't think had language actually do. And I think that it won't be long before we start seeing the structure and syntax in what dogs do, mostly because we don't think because they aren't making sounds. We didn't think they had language. And it's helping us to kind of reinterpret when we realize that there's such a thing as language without sound. There's ASL, and that is a really very human-centric and someone who is hearing-centric to think about language as having to be sound first. So how do you interpret dog? Well, one of the ways is if you understand signs and you watch as opposed to making noise and listen, you can really interpret dog language. We're going to learn a lot about the body language and communication, and we're going to kind of look at the differences between primates, us, and canines, dogs, and how we really clash, how we don't jive, and we tend to miss each other pretty well. Hopefully we'll get to the point where we'll be responding to them instead of reacting to dogs, and actually understanding them instead of assuming. Great. Go to the next slide here. This slide is where things going wrong is not where communication goes wrong. It's where do dogs escalate from trying to communicate to moving to aggression and or a bite. So over 80% of escalations to a bite start with some type of inappropriate human response to communication from them. So the fact that they have tried to communicate with some type of stress cue, some type of eye movement, some type of whimper, something that they've tried to give us, 80% of it was missed prior to an escalation that was a bite, and that was on us. Means that that level of miscommunication is egregious on our part. And if you look at this chart, 30% was just ignored cues. 40% of the cues were misread as friendly. In other words, a dog that was so stressed out that they might bite us, we took the cue as, oh, look how nice. Okay, 40% of them. And so we've got dogs that are getting themselves into a corner and having no other choice but to act with aggression 8 out of 10 times when there's been a chance to communicate. And these are dogs that are being euthanized or being passed over in a shelter or being mislabeled in rescue. And that means that we've got to find a way to learn to understand what they're trying to say to us. So here's some ideas for you that, the miscommunication is a big problem. But one thing for you to really think about is that all dog behavior, and actually all behavior, is functional, not moral. We tend to assume a dog is being bad when actually they're just doing, whatever might work. They're trying to communicate. They're not acting out. They're just trying to pass on information. It's up to us to understand that. And we need to intervene in that series of communications prior to it escalating to that red zone. And I'm hoping that as we learn these things in this slideshow, it'll kind of open your eyes to some of the things that they're communicating. And we would have to do several more to really get to the point where you were interpreting at the level of behaviorist would be. And, I'd be willing to do more slideshows on this kind of stuff, because I didn't mention that in my background. I have a degree, a linguist degree in French. I love language. So this is really fun stuff. All right, so let's move on to how can we fix this? Well, first things, let's look at how we communicate, how human communication is built and how canine communication is built. I don't know if you guys remember, if you're old enough to remember the Far Side cartoons. One of my favorites forever was the dog Ginger, which, by the way, was a golden retriever. Ginger's looking at its owner, and the owner is going, anyway, Ginger, blah, 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 Ginger, blah, 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 Ginger, blah, 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 Ginger. And that is exactly how our dogs see us. The only piece of information that was getting across was the name. And the dog is just like, whatever. And that's really what this data represents. And this is data. It's research data. And it came from Brian O'Hare, which is one of our better researchers in the University of Pennsylvania. And so let me break this down for you. So we're looking at verbal versus vocal and nonverbal. So for humans, verbal is words, okay? Verbal is words. Vocal is tone and other sounds, grunts, okay? So our communication is only 7% words. A lot of it is other stuff, mostly tone. And 55% of our communication is nonverbal. Eye rolls if you're a teenager, right? Sighs, those things, right? But if you look at a dog's life, they don't have verbal, they have vocal. So they have barks. Bark is a vocal. It's not a word, right? Only 10% of their communication is vocal. 90% is nonverbal. So when you combine ours, you've got 7 and 38. So 45% is us making sounds to their 10% making sounds. And so as a behaviorist, when someone says to me, my dog isn't listening to me, I'm like, no dog is listening to us. They're watching us. They are watching us. 90% of the time, they are watching you. And they have to work really hard to be listening to you. Which is why when you try to teach them a cue like sit, you have to back it up with something delicious, which is the behavior, the nonverbal of giving them something to eat. That's the 90%. Okay. That verbal cue is a 10%, backed up with a 90% nonverbal. That's why you train that way. Okay. On the other hand, if you're asking your child to do something, you can give a verbal request with the right tone and get something from your child that you don't have to do a bunch of nonverbals for. For instance, my mom can say my name with several different vocal changes and get different behaviors from me. Think about your name and all the ways your mother can say your name to get different behaviors from you. Okay. My mother, my middle name is Louise. So Deborah Louise. Now, if she says that, Deborah Louise, my heart will stop. Okay. Deborah Louise, just like that, my heart will stop. If she says, Deborah Louise, I will hide. No, I am busted, right? So there's tones of difference, right? So we're geared for that. Now, when dogs are listening to us, do you notice there's no verbal? So they don't care if it's Deborah Louise. If my mom went, Mama, Mimi, that's what dogs hear. They hear the tone. So if you're teaching sit, you could say lit. It's the same tone, they do it. The word is not what matters, it's the tone, but it's also all the action around it. So when we get so fussy about the words with our dogs, and you'll get a trainer that's real fussy about the words, and they'll say sit, and they're real precise with that word. Well, it's actually the tone and the sharpness of that T that matters to the dog. Okay. So when you have a trainer that's like, hey, your dog is actually watching your body shape. And the reason why your dog sits is because every time you ask them to sit, you stand like this and you go, sit. Well, it's because you did this that they sat, not because you said it. Okay. It's what you did that got your dog to sit. Do you see how different our worlds are? Okay. So I really want you to hear that. And especially if you're asking your dog to do something, you could probably never say a word to your dog and do this, and they would sit because they know what this means. Okay. If you go through a really good basic training program, they will teach the dog the visual cue long before they teach a verbal cue. So if you go, some programs, they just teach the verbal cue. That's a program that's just kind of hurrying you through. Most of the really good programs will teach the visual cue and then add the verbal after. That's an excellent program because they understand this communication. Any questions? Cool, right? Yeah. Okay. Oops, I went backwards. There we go. Okay. So I really like this. We mean well, but we're so weird. I know our dogs think are weird. Okay. Did you see the little picture up in the corner? This is the dog being patted, pat their head. Dogs hate it. Hate it. If you could stop petting your dog on the head, they would breathe a huge sigh of relief. It really isn't a good behavior for us. We are primates, and I'm going to go down this road for a second. as a member of the primate family, if you look at this chart in the far left-hand column, it's human behavior as primates. These are the things we do in our family of primates: apes, bonobos, chimpanzees, etc. And you look at the shape of our body, this is why we do it, okay? We do direct eye contact. In fact, if you were raised in Texas and the South and some families, look at me when I'm talking to you, right? Direct eye contact for good communication. That's polite and it's respectful, okay? So this is a primate thing. And you'll see it if you watch, the Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, if you're as old as I am, or right now, that's, Discovery Channel. The direct eye contact is, all of the primates will look right at each other to have any communication. And in fact, if you're teaching your children, they mumble and look away, you'll say, hey, look at me. I can't tell what you're saying, right? You look right at me. Well, if you think about what dogs do, even with the shape of their head, their eyes are almost like horses. They're a little off to the side. So they're not even built for real direct vision. There's a little off to the side. But in the dog world, direct look gaze is a challenge. It's a threat. It's rude. So we think when we're gazing lovingly at our dogs, I love you so much, boo-boo. They're like, okay, this is one of those weird things they do. And they're really having a hard time. So what would be better is if instead of looking really directly, if you kind of soften your look and you kind of tilt your head and kind of look at them from the side a little bit, they'll appreciate it more. Now, your dogs accept you looking at them. They'll take it, okay? You might notice that some of them look at you lovingly sometimes. They've learned to speak human, which is cool. But if you do gaze lovingly at your dog and they kind of look at you and they look away, they're not insulting you. They're just like, ooh, I got to take a break. They're just intense. They just got to shake it off. Ooh, that's tough. Okay. So give them a break. The other thing that primates do is we're loud. Okay. If you watch any of these shows, chimps like ooh, 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 on each other, and we see each other. Ah! I mean, have you ever been at a restaurant where a bunch of women see each of their friends and they're going to gather at a table and they all, and they're screaming across and they hug and their pitch is like this high. Well, if you look down this list, loud, excited noise for dogs, that's actually perceived as a snarl. Okay. So when you're like, Fifi, come here, I love you so much, the dog's like, are they snarling at me? Are they going to start something? Okay. They're distressed. Okay. So you're freaking your dog out when you come home and you're like, oh my God, I haven't seen you so long. They're like, oh my God, okay. I know they love me, but it's so weird. I love this one too. When you grin at your dog, it's like you put on the mask from the movies and you're, the axe murderer. So you grin at your dog and they're like, oh God, please don't do that. They'll take it, but they would really rather you just kind of give them a happy little smile. Hi, I love you. So this chart you're going to get in those handouts. I'm not going to go over all of them. Patting them on the head, it's very uncomfortable. Leaning over them is a threat. It's scary. I got a call from a client. She sent me her inside security camera. Her dog was sleeping in a curled position on the couch, and she came around the corner. Dog was asleep. She leaned over the couch to the dog and kissed the dog's face, and he came up and he bit her right in the face. And she was so hurt and offended that she got bitten by her dog. But if you look at this chart, dog thought he was being attacked. And he had every right to respond that way. And then the dog was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And he like slithered off the couch and slunk over into the corner because he was so bummed that he bit her in the face. But if you look at all these things that the dog interprets, this is his natural trigger. So think about how much your dog has to really reinterpret all the things you're doing in order to stay okay with you. Okay.
We get a lot of, not a lot, but we often will hear comments with a new dog coming into care, and the dog may flinch when somebody's going towards them, which is usually over top of them. And then the perception is that the dog has probably been abused. And so that's a very common thing that we see with new fosters coming in that are just learning the ropes in a new home.
Right, right. But I want you to imagine if you went to visit a culture where they greeted you by slapping you sharply on the face. It's just their normal greeting. But after being slapped sharply in the face once or twice, when you walked up to a new person, you'd go, you just would, right? You would duck every time. It's not because you were abused, it's because you're thinking it might get slapped again. So for them, you're like, I've been greeted in a way that makes me uncomfortable. So as you approach me, I'm going to duck. That's all it is. Okay. Enjoy this. Hopefully actually practice it. Look at the stuff that you're doing. Am I hugging my dog? Maybe I shouldn't. Okay. Am I offering my hand to let my dog sniff, or a strange dog to sniff my hand? You're actually putting your hand in their bubble, which is scaring them. You could get bitten. So take a look at these things and think about changing how you are. Think about this as you've gone into a new country with a new culture. And right now you are the rude bumpkin, and this is your decoder ring to being polite in their culture. Okay. I hate to break it to you, but we're also horrible at affection. Okay. Absolutely horrible affection. I'll explain these pictures in the bottom, but here we go again. Primates versus, canids, or humans versus dogs. This is how we like to show affection, okay, and what we interpret it as, and then how the dogs interpret that affection. So it's some repetition, but I want you to see it as clearly we think this is affection. So verbal praise with eye gazing. Such a good dog. I love you so much. Who's the best dog? You're such a good boy. I love you so much. And the dog's like, okay, yeah. So, okay. And then after about 3 or 4 times, like, nothing bad happens, so I'll put up with this. Okay. It's all right. I can get through this. But is that what you really want? Your dog to be getting through it? Right? So you have to think about doing it in a slower or less confrontational way if you're praising your dog, right? Some dogs get it because they think it's puppy stuff, and you're going, bougie, 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 good boy, and they start licking your face and lips. Hey, that's okay. They're enjoying it. So you get to see if they interpret it and join in, you're doing okay, right? So these aren't all bad. Look at the dog's response, all right? I'll talk about belly rubs in a bit. Okay. Kissing. Watch that one closely. Because as you push your face into the dog's face, if they at all turn their head or look away, they're saying, I'm uncomfortable. And your face is very vulnerable to a very sharp tool. And being bit in the face is bad. So I would not try to hug or kiss a dog I didn't know very, very well. And absolutely do not let children hug or kiss your dog, especially if they don't know your dog, ever. That just, if a kid wants to pet your dog, you're going to referee that. Children should not hug or kiss your dog. Okay? Children in your house under the age of 10 should not hug or kiss the dog. Okay? It's just we get so many calls where the dog is like, you know what, I'm kind of sick of this, or it hurts, and then they get the bite, and the family's like, I don't know what changed. They did it all the time. Well, yeah, but maybe their tolerance wore out. The pictures at the bottom look sweet. The one on the left where the man has his arm around the back of the dog, an arm over the shoulders in the dog world is a challenge to fight. It's a dominance move. Not in the old way of like, hierarchy, more like, hey, dude, let's fight. So if the dog is not comfortable with that person, he's sitting there going, okay, keep it together, keep it together. Maybe he'll move, maybe he'll fight, maybe he won't. Right? If he knows the person, he could get over it. And then the one with the lady who has her face in the dog's face, the dog may over time have interpreted that's a sweet, affectionate pose. But if it's the first time, there's the danger of being bitten. Okay. The quote to me is so important. The reference is a paper, or actually 3 different papers by researchers at different universities, very popular books and researchers, but it sums this. Why this matters, we mean affection, they feel trapped. Which is why some of the stuff we talked about in the very first session about consent and getting the dogs to decompress and handling them with consent is that helps with helping the dog understand how we are trying to touch them. And we're getting better at touching them in the way they want to. Okay. All right, so if this is how we love, let's look at this. It's a common misunderstanding. We'll often get, well, he rolled over and showed his belly, so I petted him. Well, very often when a dog is really asking to be left alone, please don't mess with me anymore, with humans or dogs, they'll roll over and give a tap out, like, I'm done. Okay. Look at the difference in what these 2 dogs are doing. And let's kind of go bit by bit. And in fact, is there anyone who would like to do a comparison with me and point out the differences between the 2 dogs? And raise your hand or turn on your mic and say, me. Brandy, is that your hand? I can't really see. Is that Brandy?
Hello.
This is Otto. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, gotcha. I can see. I just barely can see this much. Okay. So
there.
On the dog that says tap out, what do you notice that's different than the one that's looking for a belly rub?
Yeah, so first I can see his head's like to the side, like, I'm low energy. Can I just like have a little time? And it looks like if someone would come near him, he would like sort of roll to the side saying like, no, please not. But then the dog on the other side who's requesting a belly rub, he's like up. He's showing you that he's really excited. He's happy. And like he's a little bit more up and not to the side.
That's excellent. You really got the emotion and energy down perfectly. What about his paws or the paws difference?
Oh.
What do you think there?
On the dog who says tap out, they're a little bit more curled.
And like held tighter to his body. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the back legs?
Let me see.
Oh.
Oh yeah, you're right. I see
Yeah.
it now. So on the requesting a belly rub, the legs are like out.
Yeah.
In the tap out, they're like in. Like
Yeah, he's
really.
like closed in on himself, right? Even though he's showing his belly, he's kind of holding his legs kind of tighter, right? So the requesting the belly, he's like opening his legs more, right? You see that?
Yeah.
Okay, now look at the mouth on the 2 dogs.
Yeah. That's what I really see. On the tap out dog, it's like exhausted. It's like no thank you. But then on the requesting a belly rub, he's smiling. He's like excited.
Yeah. Can you describe the lip difference between the 2 dogs?
Let's see. One is like in like
Which one?
the tap out dog. But
Yeah.
then the other one is like
Yeah. So what we do is we describe that as like closed and the what this is a weird word. No one has to remember this. This is called the commissure right here. So that like the corner of the mouth is kind of closer and closed. And that's a dog that's like, I'm closing myself. And the dog has an open, happy mouth. That's a dog that wants to engage. So an open mouth, happy mouth, let's play. And a closed mouth, I want to be left alone.
We have our golden retriever in the bed right now.
He's watching too.
So
Yeah.
he's not tapping out. Oh, that's nice.
He's a little
You
sleepy.
did a really nice job of observing and putting the emotions in. Look exactly at their eyes for a second.
Give me a second. Yes. So I can already see that the tap out dog, he's like looking down into, down.
Mm-hmm.
Requesting a belly rub dog, he's like looking straight at you. He's like, look at me. I want belly rubs.
Nice. So tap out is avoiding eye contact, right?
Yeah.
And belly rub dog is looking right at you. Is like, hey, get over here and touch me, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Really, really good job, Ogden. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Should I put my mic?
And you covered it perfectly.
I'm
Yeah,
going to mute it, honey.
I'm gonna mute it.
So when I get, clients are like, my dog bit me and he was requesting a belly rub, when we can show them the difference that your dog was really asking to be left alone, we can also start talking about another myth. The other myth is, well, their tail was wagging. That tail wagging myth is interesting because what do people think about the tail? If the tail is wagging, the dog is happy. We'll talk about that more specifically, but that's an enormous myth, right? All right, so let's roll to some other good idea. Oops, I'm going backwards. Here we go. Let's go forwards. Bum-ba-da. All right. How do humans resolve conflict versus dogs? How do dogs resolve conflict? It's very much like the affection, okay? We're looking at the behavioral stage, like how do we go through conflict? How do humans do that? And how do dogs do that, okay? Early stress signs in humans, we frown, we narrow our eyes, our voice gets tense, okay? So we'll look over at somebody like, ugh, okay? But dogs actually do something simple. They go, okay? They just lick their lips, turn their head away, and their body will get still. So in other words, we start to escalate by showing our discontent. Dogs try to de-escalate by going, I'm not going to get involved. Okay. When it becomes the next stage of social pressure or beginning to respond, humans start to increase eye contact. So I want you to think about it in terms of someone was rude in a store, or even worse, road rage. Okay. First time. Okay. Now eye contact. You're looking at the person through the window. Okay. Raise the voice. Oh, that jerk. And then we kind of lean over. Dogs, they will not make eye contact. They'll avert the gaze. They'll blink to try to show, I'm not looking at you. Okay. And they'll even move away to avoid contact. So here we have humans increasing, shoving energy at the thing they're angry with, but dogs are trying to move away. Okay. When it's time to have an assertion or challenge, you, okay, we start to point, okay, we start to get postury, okay, we look right at them, point at them, you. Okay. Dogs, they stiffen, their tail goes up, they stand tall, but remember, they're looking away, so they stiffen over here. Okay. Escalation is when you're yelling out the window, you're gesturing, you might even start shoving. Okay. Dogs are still not looking, but they issue a growl. They hard stare if they need to. They give a really hard, intense, slow stare, and they'll snap. But that hard stare, they usually lower the head and come forward. And you'll see that their whole body then is oriented straight at the thing that they're unhappy with or afraid of or about to fight. Okay. They orient at. And that stare, you'll feel it. If you've ever had a dog hard stare at you, you'll feel it in your body. And it's a very intense stare. When it's time to de-escalate, humans tend to persist and push their emotion. I'm still mad. I'm still mad. I'm still yelling. I won't calm down. Dogs will start to offer appeasement. So after there's been a snap, if the other dog's willing to back down, they'll start doing things like licking their lips, or they'll go into a play bow. They'll offer some kind of sniffing. They'll just some type of appeasement signal. Okay, we're good. We had our moment. Let's get out of it. And then finally, once the conflict is over, the post behavior is interesting. In primates, we ruminate. That guy was such an ass. I can't believe that happened. Right? And then eventually we might apologize. I'm sorry you felt that way, which isn't an apology, as we know. Right? And eventually, if we really were wrong, we could get to an apology. It just takes a lot. We're emotional. Dogs will go, oh, shake it all off, avoid contact, and eventually re-engage slowly. So, as we all know, dogs are better people than we are. I have a cartoon for us. Here's how primates conflict. Here's how dogs conflict. Okay. Now, we're not talking about huge fights in dogs. When they get to an enormous physical fight, it still gets to the point, if humans don't get in to pull them apart, it would still de-escalate and get back down to being able to do this walk and relax and sniff together. But yeah, they don't have big fights often if they're in like the street or in homes. Primates tend to be loud, physical, and hold on to it. Dogs tend to avoid. If they need to, they fight very short, and then they diffuse and then avoid. So imagine a dog's shock when we yell at them for something. We yell early in the process, way before a dog would yell and make that noise, because they don't yell into the escalation point, and we start making noise and yelling almost at the social pressure point. So we come in, we step and pee. Oh my God, blah, 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 puppies there. Blah. Okay, the puppy's going, whoa, we're going to fight. They're shocked, absolutely shocked. And, they think we're really emotional. Wow, you need to calm down. Okay. Which is why they take our emotions so seriously. Think about that the next time you lose your temper with your dog, because they are absolutely gobsmacked at the intensity and the energy of our emotion. That's why they take it so seriously and why it affects them so deeply. Okay, how to read this. This part's going to go a little fast, and I'm going to show you some pictures. Wait till we get all the way to the end of this temp part, and then we'll go through questions if you have them. Okay, we're going to use this acronym TEMP to kind of read a dog's body, and it's tails, ears, eyes, mouth, and posture. TEMP. Okay. TEMP is kind of like your secret decoder ring. All right, so when you're looking at a dog, the reason why you read tail first is because it's usually the barometer, the emotional part of the dog is the tail. However, we almost always get it wrong. If tail's wagging, we're like, woo, he's happy. Honestly, if the tail is wagging, it means the dog is experiencing energy or arousal. It doesn't mean they're happy. Okay. And especially if you've got a dog whose tail is like curved up over his back and it's wagging really fast. Okay. That's a dog that is like, hey, I might fight this guy. Okay. I have a Jack Russell Terrier who's real little, and he will try to stand on big dogs with his tail like this, like he's going to fight a big dog. It never happens. He's just a little Napoleon. So here's how you read a tail. If it's high on the dog's body and it's stiff, they're on alert and they see something as a threat. Okay. If it is coming off their rump and it's coming low, and I'm going to show you pictures, low, and it's just kind of like mid and, you know, hanging midway, it's fine. Everything's good. If it's very low and going down between the ankles, but not tucked up under the belly, they're a little nervous. And you know, tucked under the belly is fear. Everybody's got that one pretty good. A tail that is still is usually a dog that is going, I'm not sure. Okay. So I'm going to show you some pictures in just a second. And tail and tension come together because the tail explains the tension in the body. So if you see a stiff limbs and a tight mouth and a still tail, you've got a dog that's worried and possibly ready to be a barky or angry dog. And if you have a high tail or a tucked tail in tension, you've got a dog that may take action on those strong emotions. When a dog is like freezes, you're going to see fighting or flighting. Okay. Pacing is usually fear. Okay. Tension is always the first sign of stress. When you see tension in the body, and it's usually what we miss. Humans don't seem to notice. So let me show you some pictures. All right. So if you read the whole body, it's pretty easy to check this guy out, right? This tail is up and kind of in a corkscrew. It's up high. That's a pretty happy tail. And if you look at the rest of his body, there's not a tense part of his body. He is loose everywhere. That's a happy dog. If I only showed you her face, would you see the tension in her body? The worry in her eyes, her ears are kind of slanted to the side, her legs are stiff, but her tail is tucked. That's a good signal. See that stiff, straight up tail on the Labrador? That is a dominant, aggressive dog. How about that dog who is being submissive? See that tail down? And look at the expression. Those ears are down and back. You can see in his face, he's got tension in his face. There's actually a muscle right there. And do you see how tense that dog's front of his body is? He looks like he could pounce at any second. So that's the T. What part of this dog is not tense? His face, right? What's going on over there? But would you trust him if you put the leash down? Would you think he'd stay with you? He is about to jump and spring. That's tension in the body too. Okay. Eyes. The eyes have it here. Eyes tell you so much in a dog. You know, if the eye is soft and blinky, you've got a calm dog. The whale eye, which I'm going to show you, is a dog that's showing fear. If you can see any whites in a dog's eye, it's a fearful dog. A hard stare is a challenge, and it is usually a dog that will bite. Eyes that are moving around and darting is a dog that's just, they are really had it up to here and they're overwhelmed. Watch the eyes. Don't wait for a growl. The eyes will tell you if the dog is going to be aggressive. And if the eyes are really hard, that means the dog is telling you, I'm serious. I am going to act. So take a look at that one. This is called whale eyes because you can see the whites of the eyes like a whale. This is a dog that is submissive and frightened. Do you see that fear expression on her face? Not just the eyes, but the eyebrows. They're drawn up.
What about, we call it side eye.
I'm going to show you a side eye. Hold on a second. Boom. That's a side
Yeah.
eye. Okay. This is the whale eye part and a side eye. Okay. So you can have whale eye anywhere on this, on the eye. The side eye here is actually a dog that's upset.
Hmm.
Okay.
Luigi does it all the time,
hmm
but it's like he's looking at us like we're nuts.
Yep. So this is, oh, went back too far. This is fear.
Huh.
See that expression?
Uh-huh.
This is not fear, but it's whale eye. It's more of a side eye.
Yeah.
Side eye is discontent, right? Rox, what were you going to say?
So I've kind of learned having our golden for I think about 4 months now. I've learned that golden retrievers, one of their popular traits is the notorious side eye.
Oh my God, yeah.
So I was like, the first time I heard, I'd never heard of whale eye, and then you know, what that means fear, and I googled it, like images for whale eye, and then I stopped and I went, wait a minute, she does that all the time. She gives me
Right.
serious side eyes.
I'm glad you brought that up because that's why I did these two images.
Yeah.
Because you know, when you look at that puppy, that's a fearful face.
Yes.
And if you just went the definition of white means fearful,
yeah.
there are so many dogs that give side eye that it is not fear. This dog is judging you and or discontented, right? Unhappy with you. And there are, I mean, I've seen many golden retrievers give the side eye of judgment.
Yes.
There's
They're
no question.
definitely,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, good point.
Serious judgment. And then I noticed that when we took her for her first appointment with a veterinarian and they were you know, checking her ears and assessing her, she was so scared. I saw her first whale eye, and her eyes, they like her pupils dilated.
Yeah.
Right? Is that a common? Okay, because
It's very
that's
common.
the first time I saw that hat, and I just went, oh, I'm so sorry. She was so scared.
You know, in humans, in all mammals, when they do flight or fight, you know, or, you know, that fear response dilates the pupils.
Okay,
It's normal. Yeah.
thank you.
You bet. Even though the dog is snarling, focus on the eyes. Do you see how hard those eyes are? Now, you've got whale eye there too. You've got some white there too. But look at the way the eyebrows are drawn and how hard that gaze is. That's not a fearful look. That is a dog that is going to bite. And one thing I wanted to bring up is that you see how the mouth is gathered forward? If they're snarling and the corners of their mouth are back, they're just making noise. If the corners of the mouth have drawn forward, they're going to bite. That's the advertisement. This is a bite coming. And if that doesn't make your stomach or chest feel funny, you're not paying attention. That's the hardest eye look you can get. That dog means it. And when the snarl pulls up over the gums, they mean it. This is a dog that will bite you if you get close. And they're resource guarding this lovely thing right here. I do a presentation for vet techs that includes videos of bites happening so they can see when it switches over. I don't have that in this because the videos are rough. Now, they cut off before they get really violent, but seeing the moment that it switches over is good for them to see. And I don't want you to see that. This is about as tough as I want you to see. What I don't really care about you seeing the mouth here, I want you to see the eyes. Because that look, those eyes, even if the dog weren't snarling, those eyes would tell you that dog is serious about how they're communicating what they mean. Look at ears. Now, here's a problem. Humans have spent a lot of time changing how dogs look. We change their tail length, we change their fur length, we change their ear size, we change the way their ears fit on their head and whether they're long or they floppy. And so tails and ears, we say they signal certain things, but we crop tails, or we have tails that are super curly or super long. And we do the same with ears. And so sometimes we actually put dogs at a disadvantage for communication. And one thing that's actually great about golden retrievers is they have all the equipment for communication. They've got a good sized tail. Their ears actually move in the right direction. And so we can communicate with them and they can communicate with dogs and we can interpret. But, if you look at dogs that have the shorter snouts and brachiocephalic, they really can't make their faces move the way other dogs can. If you look at dogs that have ears that are cropped and so they can't actually, move and pin back to show that they're afraid, they're at a disadvantage. Dogs that have super long coats where other dogs can't see their faces, they're at a disadvantage. So that's an unfortunate thing because, sometimes they are shouting what they need to express. Nothing gets communicated and then they're biting. And what we say is it came out of nowhere. And it really didn't. It's just that all those signals were covered. So for ears, ears that are pinned back are fear or appeasement. Like, I didn't mean it. And so we think that's cute. Humans think the ears pinned back is a cute thing. And so you'll see all these TikToks or Instagrams of, I came home and my dog looked guilty for shredding the garbage. And it was so cute. Well, the guilty look where they're kind of grinning and their ears back is actually the dog trying to appease you because they don't want you to show all the primate emotion that you show when you find dirty, garbage. And they don't know why you're so upset. And so they're trying to tell you would you please calm down? I don't know what the problem is. Because you sometimes you come home and you just go crazy. So they're actually trying to get you to calm down. They can't make the connection between their behavior and the garbage and you reacting the way you are. So they're actually not feeling guilty. What happens for them is you come in and you have this emotion change and they're going, wow, sometimes you just go nuts. It's weird. Okay. Ears that are way forward are them aroused. They're kind of checking things out. One forward and one back, they're kind of unsure. Okay. Their mood meters, they're always moving. I always thought it would be fun to be humans where you could be like, ooh, hi, you're really cute. Your ears are forward. It'd be interesting to have that. But they also their ears do this too, just like teenagers. Like you call the dog, you're like, hey, boo. And they go, what? They just, they give you that one ear flick where they kind of ignore you a little bit. So when you're training your dog and you're trying to get their attention and you see their ear just do this, they were listening to you. They heard you. They just chose not to really pay, too much attention. So let's look at some ears. Oop, not that. Here we go. Ears are back, but look at the rest of the expression here. If you look at the eyes and the mouth, this is a dog that is upset, fearful, possibly appeasing. Curious, wondering what's going on. Look at that dog. What are you doing, Mom? Is that a treat in your pocket? Man, that is an expression of fear. And it's the whole body. So you've got the ears back, the expression in the eyes, so squinting, blinky eyes, a closed mouth, head hung low, weight on the back of the body, tail low, kind of crouching. All of that says fear. In the mouth. The mouth is kind of hard to read, especially if you've got a leash on because it's pointing that way. So it's a little bit harder. What you really want to do is the most we're going to pay really attention to is yawning and lip licking. That's the most important as far as what you can do if you're holding your dog's leash. Yawning is a dog trying to reset their emotions, and doing a quick flick with the lip, with the teeth, sorry, with the tongue, is saying, I'm uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable. So if you are trying to hug your dog and hug on your dog, and your dog goes, you're saying, I'm uncomfortable. Okay. All the others are pretty obvious. Like if they're snarling and baring their teeth, you can kind of see that, right? If they're panting or their mouth is clamped shut, you can see that pretty easily. But the yawning, maybe, but that flick, you kind of want to be in front of or with your dogs. You'll see that when you're, playing with them, hugging them on the couch. You might not see them when you're walking. And I've mentioned before, their corners move forward when they're about to bite. Really watch your dog for that lip lick when you can, and just notice that. Notice when you're asking them to do things, if they do that. They're just giving you a little signal, I'm a little uncomfortable. So here's a snarl, but the eyes are closed. So this is a dog that is trying to appease, like, I really don't want to have to fight you, but I'm snarling to tell you I really will if I have to. Two, the snarl. This is one where, see, the mouth part is starting to move forward. But what's really interesting is, see, the eyes are not quite as serious. So this is a like, hey, back off, buddy, but I'm not going to fight you. There's your quick lip lick. I'm uncomfortable. There's another one. I'm uncomfortable. These happen really fast. Do you think that's going to be a bite? It's about to. Probably a snap, not a real bite, but a snap. Go away. So what tells you is the eyes are pretty hard. Okay. The mouth is moving forward. Okay. Looks like it's going to be a little bite. The ears are back. It's kind of a fearful. It'll probably be a snap. Please don't touch me. Posture, kind of hard to tell. One of the things you want to look for is the dog is stiff or still. Okay. You're looking for whether or not they're shifting their weight or they're crouching if they're fearful. An arched back is also fearful. But what you're really looking at when I'm doing this for you is looking at the whole body. This is a position you see with a dog that's like seeing something down the street and is going, what is that? So they were walking with you, they were panting, and then they go, and they're processing. This is processing the information. Crouching, trying to be very, very small. If I'm small, I won't get hurt because you won't notice me. You've got some whale eye. You got your ears down. Mouth is closed. Remember, a loose mouth is a happy mouth. Oh, I didn't mean to get her in there, but this is a good one for you too. We're back to her posture, her eyes, closed mouth, tucked tail. All right, a little break. The next one, I'm going to speed through some slides, and we're almost done. I'm just going to show you a whole bunch of pictures, and I'll let you kind of think about what the image is. I mean, what you're seeing in the image, and then I'll point some things out. Rox, what's up?
Real quick, but back on the golden retriever, the posture where they're interested in something.
Oops, sorry. Let me get to him.
So in addition to that, my mom's Yorkie, she'll do it too, but I noticed Orla, my golden, she'll pick up one little paw and bend it back. What is, and to me, that just means she's like very focused on something, but what does that mean? It's so funny when she does
a dash of fear.
A dash of fear.
It's what is that? With a dash of fear, just a little.
Really? Wow.
And so if the rest of the body had like ears down and her weight was back a little bit, it would be real fear. But if she's leaning forward and curious, but her paw comes up, it's just a teensy bit of, okay, I'm uncomfortable that I don't know what that is.
Okay.
It's not much.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. Two dogs, they're meeting. What's the mood of this greeting? What do you think, Rox? Go for it. Roxy raised her hand. Go, Rox.
Sorry,
No
I
worries.
just saw somewhere on social media that that's kind of like a rude introduction with dogs.
Tell me what's rude about it.
They're supposed to kind of like sniff each other's bottom,
Yeah.
like head to tail, and that's really rude to come up in their space nose to nose.
Yep. So the older dog is sniffing the puppy's face because the puppy sat down saying, I don't want you to sniff my bottom. So fine, I'll sniff your face. So there's, I'm not comfortable with you sniffing me. Puppy, if you can see the puppy's face, is more like, I'm not into this. And the older dog is like, well, I'm going to do it anyway. So it's not a polite on either side. Not a happy greeting, not a bad greeting, just not smooth. Yeah, Robert. Uh-oh, I can't hear you. Let's see if we can unmute you. Oops, I can't unmute you.
How's that?
There we go. Perfect.
I'm Sharon. I don't know why my name's not there. But,
Okay.
I thought of this when you were showing it might have been one of the first pictures of like the black dog had his tail straight up.
Mm-hmm.
And also in this picture, are they reading each other's body language while they're doing that?
Absolutely.
I mean, that black dog's tail straight up, that would have alarmed or alerted the other dog.
The other dog would have got that information and gone, oh man, I'm in trouble.
Okay.
Yep. So this puppy would be seeing this older dog's position. An older dog is communicating real clearly, I think you're rude.
Oh, because he wouldn't let him sniff his bottom?
Yep. Yep. It's like refusing a handshake.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. All right. Similar, right? But this dog's like, I'm going to look away from you and I'm still happy. So I'm giving you a chance to relax, dude. Okay. How about this interaction? Two dudes chilling, right? Both dogs have loose, happy mouths. That's what I'm looking for. The tails are kind of mid-mast, not much happening. Ears are mid-mast. They're fine. Okay. Tell me about this.
I don't think the dog on the right is very happy.
What do you think they're saying?
I think the one on the left says, I want to get to know you, and the other dog goes, not interested. Go away.
Go away. Yeah, exactly. The eye squint is a very clear go away. And, turning his head away. Let's go with somebody else. Anyone else? Look at this interaction, the one on the right. Tell me what's happening there.
They want to play.
Yeah, invitation to play. What tells you that?
Their faces.
Okay, what about it?
They're smiling,
Yeah.
right? And then like the open posture of the one with the tail up, like like sassy,
Yeah.
like ready to party.
Yeah.
And then and the other one looks receptive. Yeah.
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 I mean, it's an invitation, and the other one's going, yeah, why not? Let's do it.
Yeah.
And since I've got you, what about the left? What's happening there?
So that one looks like a dominant and submissive situation potentially,
Mhm.
where one dog, I mean, there's hard eyes. Yeah. Is that correct?
It's not quite as hard. It's
Okay.
more like, it's not quite dominant. It's more like, all right, I'm going to come say hi, I think.
Okay.
And the one lying down is like, I wish you wouldn't. They're both like, eh. I mean, it's kind of like two introverts at a party. It's one that if I were there, I would interrupt it because they're both uncomfortable.
Got it. Okay.
But they're just both uncomfortable. It's not bad though.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So the difference here, I don't know why they did that. The difference here, Randy, look at these two.
I'm outside throwing the ball for Benito, actually. So while we do this, yeah, I mean, nobody's happy. Oh, well, I mean, admittedly, the one on the right, my right, as I get it, obviously, the dog on the right is saying back off. No thanks.
Yeah.
And then again, this may be personification, but the one on the left looks like, oh man, that's disappointing. I was hoping, at least that's how I'm interpreting it. Like, oh, I was hoping we were gonna have a good time.
Yeah. The eyes are a little like, I'm not sure why you're upset.
Yeah.
Right. But what I'm looking at is the weight. He's getting ready to move back.
Okay.
He's also getting ready to move back if he has to, but this is a warning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to break away.
Got it.
Okay. All right.
Oh.
See the paw lift? That's a fear. Uncomfortable and whale eye. Yeah, if you didn't go, oh, poor baby, that's like a triple whammy of fearful dog, right? And whoops. Sorry, I'm gonna have to speed through up to here. I keep getting them wrong. There we go.
Oh.
Okay, now this one's and this one are computer generated. I asked for whale eye. I think it gave me walleye. but that is whale eye there. So those are just a good speed through for you. Diane and I are going to do a little role play so you can see the sentences, the syntax of what happens when dogs are introducing themselves to each other. So we're going to be dog A and dog B. We're going to read our body language and what we're saying so you can see how it happens. And the next time you have dogs actually interacting, see if you can see what they're saying to each other. Okay. Diane, are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. I think on this one, do you want to be B?
Sure.
Okay. So I'm going to enter on a wide arc and I'm sniffing the ground and I'm not a threat.
No pressure.
Okay. So read your body language first too.
I am lying down. My gaze is averted and no pressure, man.
Okay. So I shake off. Slow movements. Hi, I'm so friendly.
And play bow. Oh, I should be doing like downward dog. Pretend I'm doing downward dog. Loose drag. My buns are loose. And you want to play?
I don't know. I don't know. Can I come closer? Can I come closer?
Blinks with a slow. And you want to play?
I know you're unsure.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Oh, sure. Oh, we're down to consent.
Yeah, I skipped. Sorry.
Sorry. Sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna get relaxed. I'm gonna sniff some more. We're good. We're cool.
So I'm going to turn my body parallel. So we're going to be parallel with one another with maybe just a gentle sniff, and we're cool, man.
So the action was basically I came in wide. She's lying down and looked away. Okay. I shake it off. She does a play bow. Okay. Lip lick, blinking slowly at each other, and then we relax. Realize that it's parallel. Okay. Nobody went forward to each other, and that's why it worked out. Okay. When you're looking at dogs, go watch a dog park. Okay. Even if you don't take your dog to a dog park, we're sometimes not cool with them. Watch for this kind of behavior for dogs that work well together. Okay. Watch for that curving towards each other and then ending up parallel together. The next one, we're just going to do what they say to each other. Okay. So I'll be A. Coming in hot.
Woman, that's a lot.
Okay, we'll deal with it.
No, please no.
I am not listening.
Come on, man. Back off.
Okay, well, I was just saying.
It's too much. It's too much.
And you'll see that where one comes roaring in and the other one's like, ah, get off. Okay. If you can see that, you can start doing that. Someone out there is going to say, oh, you are anthropomorphizing. Yeah, we are. But it's helping us understand the exchange and seeing what's going on. So that's a little bit of what we're looking for, understanding this exchange. So there is so much more, and I mean so much more that to dog body language. And I've left some links to websites and some great books to read. My absolute favorite book here is The Culture Clash by Jean Donaldson. And my second favorite book is The Other End of the Leash by Patricia McConnell. And then the others here are fantastic. I will include in the materials on this unit some posters from Dr. Lily Chen and Lily Chen and from Dr. Sophia Yin that have drawings of body language that are really great. There are a whole bunch of really deeply nerdy books out there too, but these are more consumable. I think the more you can sit and observe dogs and just watch what they do and ask, what is the result? What are they looking for when they're doing these things? When your dog's interacting with you, think, how can I slow down my response to them and respond in a parallel way instead of a frontal way? Because the more you're parallel to your dog, the more comfortable they will be. We like to be chest to chest. They like to be side to side. We like to hug. They would rather just lie down and lean on each other. So anytime that you can switch to being parallel, your dog will be more comfortable. Especially if you have a new dog in your house, the more that you can keep to the side, give them side looks, turn your head away and approach them from the side instead of the front, they will feel so much more comfortable with you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to have a couple more slides and we'll do Q&A. I'm not finishing that yet. C-Spot Behave, we're a welfare-informed, trauma-informed company. What we want to have happen with our company is exactly what's happening here. Is more people are informed on what dogs need, and dogs then become also more informed on human society as well. So there's more harmony there. Anything we can do to help you, we're here for you. The reason why we're working with Gold Ribbon Rescue is because your organization is frankly amazing. Your behavior team is incredible. Their response time is just amazing. And so we love supporting them. And you will have, via Michelle, links to all of the handouts and materials from all the webinars and links to the recordings on YouTube. So you'll be able to get to those materials and you'll be able to ask questions and all that good stuff. So you can reach out to her. This quote is from Dr. Patricia McConnell, one of my heroes. She's the one who wrote the book, The Other Side of the Leash. And she says, the more I understand dogs, the more I realize how loud silence can be. So I'm going to encourage you to explore the silence with your dog. Join us next month. And right now we'll start our Q&A. It's a free for all. You get up and take a break and go potty and come back. That's fine. But yeah, you can jump in.
I had just a comment that I want to make because we love Patricia McConnell too. I have every one of her books and I've read them a few times. And for several years, we handed out the book, Love Has No Age Limit. We love that book. However, we recently have made the decision that we really felt like when somebody's bringing a new dog into their home, and that the first webinar that we did, integrating a new dog with you guys, was more relevant and a little bit more powerful. So we're now using that link. We're sending out the link for that webinar. We still love Patricia McConnell, and she has a lot of great books, but you guys gave us what we thought was like more relevant current information that we liked for integrating fosters into a new family. So we're using your link now.
That's
Thank you.
huge compliment. Thank you so
thank
much.
you.
Yeah.
But I do recommend all of Patricia's books. They're easy to read, and they're just great.
They're amazing.
Is what I
Brilliant.
call them. Yeah. So.
And Jean Donaldson's book, be sure you get version 2. The version 1 is, I think, her catharsis. So there's a lot of her going, gosh, I wish people knew this, instead of here's how I can help you understand it. So it's just a little bit, the version's a little more polished in version 2, but she explains so much of the difference between the human and the canine mind and how they work. It's just really astonishing. It's amazing. It's good stuff. So let's start with this. Any help me understand my dog cases, like, I don't know why my dog does this. I'm happy to answer. Or, give me questions about interactions between dogs you didn't understand. All right,
So
here we
I
go.
will call, is Pat the Holzer on?
She
Was. Pat, are you still here?
Oh, we got Dorothy's hand up. Let's start there
Yeah.
while we get
I'm
Pat.
here, Michelle. Hello.
Well, Dorothy or Pat? Dorothy raised her hand. Pat,
Yeah.
let's let Dorothy go, and then we'll
Yes.
let you go after.
Yeah.
I defer to Dorothy.
Jump in, Dorothy. We got you. Oh, I think you're still muted.
I can't hear you.
Okay, yeah, Dorothy, you're still muted. There we go. Oh, there we go. All right, so Dorothy, we're going to go to Pat while we get you figure that out. Okay, cool. Hey, Pat, let's skip to you.
Okay. I sent Michelle a note. I have my latest adoptee, Riley, and she's just wonderful. But one of the things she does, and I haven't really had lots of experience with this, and it usually happens at night when I either come back from the bathroom or I change positions in bed, is the tail goes thump, 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 and then she sings.
Okay.
And she sings, and it's loud, and she rolls on me and sings, and she's right there, and then she settles down and usually picks a spot at the end of the bed. But the singing is just, and the howling is, she's loud and she seems to be happy. So I'm just curious about. I did have 2 Goldens, and they would howl or sing when I'm on the flight path for some of the military planes that get repaired at Kelly Lackland. And they would sing when the big jets came over, but she sings just in the middle of the night. And sometimes she sings if I've been away from home for a little bit longer than I think she likes. And when I come home, there's squeaking, and then it turns into singing.
So what do you think the trigger is for her singing?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm kind of puzzled. But it's usually if I get up and, like I want to do, wander off to the bathroom and back, it's when I'm on my way back, I hear that little tail going. And it's a very gentle but very definite tail wag. And then she breaks into song.
Okay. So there's the way to answer that is, if we know she only does it when you go to the bathroom, then there's an obvious answer. If it's happening for other reasons, there's, it's like, is it just that she's celebrating night? But my thought is that she's just really happy that when you're up, she's saying hi to you. She's celebrating you. That's it. It's like, oh, hi, let's just have fun for a minute. Does it go on for a long time?
It's a pretty long song. When I first had her, it was short, but now it's longer. But she stops, and then and she may do some roly polies and snuggle and and then when she's done, she'll I kind of pet her on her back and stuff, and then she'll get up and move either off the bed or to the corner of the bed.
Okay, well, there's in there. This is the trainer part. You have to ask, is it something you would like her not to do?
Well, it was a little difficult when I had a house guest.
Sure.
Yeah. She's loud, but I don't, at the same time, because she seems to be a happy girl, I don't want to make that a negative thing for her.
Right. I mean, and this is where the struggle is. It's like, it seems like it's a celebration. It's joyous. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you say, I don't want you to be joyful right now, and you stop it, or you extinguish it by just not responding to it, so she does it less and less, you have to replace it with a celebration at another time. So pick a more appropriate time and encourage it, right? So when she does it at night, give her a couple of seconds of attention and then stop. Just go and curl up into bed and put your back to her and ignore her. And she would, if she wasn't receiving attention over time, it would diminish. Then pick a time when you get up in the morning, first thing.
Yeah, well, she does it then too.
Then what you do is you pour the attention then.
Okay.
Really do it, and then to kind of flip your schedule where you're giving her attention at that point, and that would shift her, so she would do it then.
Yeah.
But to me, it sounds like she's just celebrating. And if you have people that it's annoying, then I would definitely say the easiest thing on her emotional state would be to just say, "Good girl," and go to sleep, and not feed her attention. So she would slowly stop doing it.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't want to tell her tell her bad or tell her no or any of that stuff, because it's so sweet. You don't want to punish that. But just stop giving her attention for it.
Yeah. And then like I said, she sometimes does it when I come home.
Yeah. And that's okay, right? Let her celebrate when you come home. Yeah. Yeah, we want her to have good emotions. Yeah.
I warned my company. I said, "I'm sorry, you're going to have to hear Riley sing in the middle of the night, because that's what she's doing right now." Right. I was just kind of curious about it.
Yeah, it's kind of
she's a very sweet girl.
You've got a puppy who gets up in the middle of the night and they don't really need to pee. They just want to play. So you have to ignore them. It's the same idea. So she's just treat her like that time isn't the appropriate time for us to do this right now. Okay. And so time to go to bed, and then you do it later. Yeah. All right. Okay. That sounds so sweet.
She's quite a character. I couldn't be more pleased.
Oh, yeah, I know. What a terrible problem to have.
Yes. She's a real sweetie pie.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
It looks like Dorothy's good. Yay. Hi, Dorothy. Come on.
Okay. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Thanks for this presentation, because I realize now I think I'm doing everything wrong.
No.
But we have our little foster hope to adopt dog, and he is very much a submissive dog. And he does the flip over and shows his stomach. And I thought it was because he wanted belly rubs, but now I'm thinking he may be more a little overwhelmed. We were at the vet recently, and he pulled and pulled to get to the assistants and the techs. And when he got there, he instantly rolled over, and he did look overwhelmed. And so he's probably not a belly rub kind of situation. So should I rescue him from those situations and just get him out of it?
Yeah, there's a good way to test. So when he rolls over, just tell the techs, "Hey, wait a minute," and give him a second. And if he rolls over and he's tight, like that picture shows, give him a second to relax. And if he relaxes and he gives attention, he's kind of begging attention, then have them pet him on the chest only, gently. And if he relaxes and opens, that's what he's seeking attention. But if he is nervous or tight, then just don't pet him. Let him relax.
Okay. So
And
if
so you
he
pet
is
him a little and you stop and see if he
Okay.
seeks attention. Okay.
Okay. So is this going to be a behavior that he'll eventually outgrow, or will he always be more of a submissive little dog?
Well, I think there are really neat things you can do in training to build confidence. And so there are, we can give him games. We can help him with, doing successful training. It's much like when humans need confidence. When you do something right and you feel like, hey, I did that right, you can build confidence, right? So, even just training and giving him the opportunity to learn and do it right will help him. Mm-hmm. Giving him, places or things to do where he learns and overcomes fear in a calm way, that also builds confidence. So you can do things, have little excursions that help build confidence, and he doesn't always have to have this overwhelming sense of fear.
Okay. You don't recommend dog parks? Where is a good place to socialize a dog?
Well, here's the thing about socialization. If a dog is showing fear, all you're doing is exercising the fear muscle. So for socialization, it's all kinds of things. Socializing is not just dog to dog. It's doing things outside of the home. Okay. It could be walking down a quiet sidewalk. It doesn't have to be meeting other dogs. We have engineered dogs. I mean, dogs are actually human invention at this point. They really aren't natural. We have engineered dogs to be companions with humans. So that's their biggest need. And they really don't need as much dog-dog socialization as we believe.
Oh, okay.
And so if he isn't craving attention, if it's difficult for him, if he's afraid of it, don't do it. Do all kinds of other things, build his confidence, and then look for cues that he's ready. He may never be, or he may start showing confidence, and you do it. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet.
Dorothy, those are really great questions. I'm really glad you asked.
Yeah.
And one thing though, I do just want to say, just from the gold ribbon standpoint, we don't really allow fosters to go to dog parks anyway. So we don't like, I mean, not that every dog park's bad and some dogs do great at a dog park, but with a foster, it really hasn't been long enough to even know how that dog's going to do in a dog park anyway. So we're certainly not advocating to take dogs, and we don't like our fosters to go to dog parks because you just don't know the dog fully yet.
Yeah. And dog parks are like Lord of the Flies. So it's like, if I'm going to take my kid to some place to play with other kids, it would be like, I'm going to take my kid to, let's go paint ceramics where there's adults helping, versus let's go to Lord of Flies. And that's what dog parks are. So, there's no rules. We don't know who's vaccinated. We don't know who's, adult is actually watching. We don't know which dogs have just recently humped every dog there, just it's just crazy. So I am not a dog park fan. Diane and I do go to dog parks, but we go when we take our dogs who know each other, and we go when it's empty. And then when other people show up, we leave. So,
and another great thing, just to put that out there, if you want to get some dogs together, like Sniff Spot's a great thing to look at. I don't know if you guys even know what Sniff Spot is, but it's basically like Airbnb for dogs. People rent out their property or their yard or their pool. And it's an app, Sniff Spot. And there's a place that we go to that's up in Belton. It's 33 acres, totally fenced. And I mean, we have 4 dogs, so we don't really take other dogs because they can run and we have our own little pack. But, you can invite a friend and go do a sniff spot in a new place, and they have a million things to sniff, and it's a new environment that they can have all kinds of sensory overload almost, but it's safe and secure.
Yeah.
Without being at a dog park with unknown people and dogs. And,
yeah.
Yep.
There's a million ways that you can take your dogs out safely that doesn't involve dog parks. I'm constantly out. I'm in Leander, so I tend to go places north, and there's some great parks up here where you can either take your dogs out on trail and you'll never run into another dog, or find big open fields where you can do a long lead line with your dog. So there again, they get to kind of wander and adventure, but they don't necessarily have to worry about other dogs or anything kind of coming around. So there's a lot of ways to do it. It's just kind of thinking about what your dog's needs are. How do they feel about, being out and about? And then how can you do it in a way that is going to keep everybody safe?
Yeah. And some dogs are homebodies.
Yeah. Some dogs just like to hang out. And that's okay too. Other questions?
Randy, you want to jump in? Go for it.
Okay, I'll try to keep it quick. So I'm on about month 8 with my adopted dog Benito from Gold Ribbon Rescue, and he rules. He's so great. He has started doing something recently, and I ran it by. Anyways, this is what he has been doing, and I have interpreted it as cool. You're getting comfortable here. You feel at home. However, I'm not 100% sure, so I thought I would bring it. Okay. We don't have our house is kind of small. It's like 1,100 square feet. It's my son and I, and now the magnificent Benito. When he first came to us,
excuse me,
he would sleep kind of wherever, right? Like I didn't try to dictate a sleep area for him. But it was generally kind of like wherever we were, usually on the floor near where we are. And then during the day or whatever, when we're around, he's with us. Like he's near us somewhere, But recently he has taken up, like he'll hang with us for a while and then he'll be like, you know what? I'm out. And he'll go to the back of the house to my bathroom and just kick it in the shower. And just lay down, and sometimes he brings his toys in there. He's got babies in there. He brings his lovies in there. It's like he's making this little nest. It's hot, and the shower, the tile is nice and cool, I think. But it's almost like he's made himself a crate.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you think I'm interpreting it correctly? That it's a good thing that he feels comfy. He's like,
yep.
Okay, cool. Okay.
So dogs are not den animals in the sense where they build a den that's with a roof. They're actually foxhole animals. They dig like bowls so that you can get the cool dirt underneath, right? So he has discovered that the pan of the shower is nice and cool,
nice
right?
and cool, and it's tile.
Yeah. And so and he's not bothered in there. No one comes in and bugs him, right? So he's got his toys, and he's got pretty soon he's going to be like dragging food in there, and
Dude,
he's gonna have water.
He's gonna put a TV in there.
Hilarious. And it's a tiny little bathroom, but I kid you not, I just finished remodeling it kind of myself, like with one other person.
Nice.
I mean, the joke is, I'm like, you're welcome, Benito.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, he is telling you that he is a little bit hot. So if you want him to hang out with you, get one of those cooling mats.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. I've listened to him.
Yeah.
But I feel like whatever you want, man. You know what I mean? Like I'm not, and it's not like he is in there all of the time.
Right.
I just like and he's really great about like during the day if I'm home working and he's back there, like he'll come and be like, hey, what's up? Let's go. I gotta go outside. I gotta do whatever. Like he's really good at communicating with me.
Nice.
So I haven't been worried about it too much. And then the second thing, which I think we're going to touch on, storms and fireworks. I have found that my guy is the only thing I can figure out that he is really scared of thus far has been thunder. And I was thinking about this when you guys were talking about hugging, right? Because like one of the things I have been doing with him when it thunders, and really when I say he freaks out, it's still so mild comparatively. I think he just shakes a lot and he wants to be really close. And so I've been wrapping him in a weighted blanket and I hug him.
Yeah. And that's a completely different deal than just
Okay. Okay.
What you're doing is applying therapeutic pressure.
Yeah. Okay.
And that therapeutic pressure, it actually resets the vagus nerve, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And so you're actually doing something that he needs. And
Okay,
that's,
cool.
That's great. Yeah.
Okay,
So
good.
keep on doing that. Don't change
Okay.
that. Yeah.
And I've noticed like it doesn't make everything okay,
Mhm.
but he does seem to, like, the shaking, I can feel it diminish.
Yeah.
And then we also do listen to music.
It's great.
I'm not dork, but it's like, I think
Ladies and gentlemen, we just covered what we're going to do for the July. Thanks, Brandy, for doing the workshop. We're good.
Really easy.
Okay, cool. Because I'm really nervous about the 4th of July.
Yeah, we're going to cover that, but you hit a few of them. Well done.
Okay,
But,
cool.
Yeah, we'll cover that because the 4th of July it's just a nightmare for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's nuclear war for dogs,
Right?
unfortunately.
I think Mona put her hand up, and Dorothy. We'll get back to you too. So Mona, what's up?
Okay, so I have a couple of questions, and the first one is I was wondering if there was cooling mats that you maybe recommend that that work, that are not just advertised cooling, but they don't cool anything.
The science of the cooling mat is interesting because it has to have a differential temperature of what's under it. And so if it's one that doesn't work, it's not working because the surface under it isn't the right temperature. So that's part of the problem. So I have one that is, what's the name of the old ice coolers? Icy
Igloo. No.
Igloo, that's it. So I have a thin Igloo one that was cheap that works great. But once I have it out on the deck, once the deck is over or outside is over about 95 degrees, it can't keep up with what's going on. So that's part of the problem is they just can't keep up after a certain point. So they look for ones that say whatever temperature is their max temp.
Okay.
Yeah, and they've come up with some new ones that you can fill with water and water reactivates it. I don't know how much those cost since they're new. Who knows? But they also have some vests. And now, I'm going to defer. I know Diane knows more about this. Dan, don't you have a vest or something that's new?
Yeah, I had one for Harley because she was a double-coated husky mix. And so similar to the cooling mat, it just, again, it's a vest that they can wear when they go out that has that kind of gel in it that is the cooling gel. So, and this is the other thing too. Obviously in the house, it's different for, you're using a mat, but if you are out and about, I carry the chemical ice packs so that I can have instant cooling if I need to when I'm out with my dogs. You break them, they cool down, and then you can stick them underneath their arms, the legs and the pit area to help cool them down if they're really hot out and about on walks. So
yeah, and from a husbandry or grooming point of view, you want your groomer, or if you do it, to groom between all the pads on all their toes. So they're shaved all the way down between the pads. You also want them to shave their belly, and so that their belly can touch the surface of where they're lying down, and they can get air on their belly. Those two things enormously help keep them cool.
Yeah, and you can do that with double-coated dogs. I know a lot of times, you don't want to trim them,
just the abdomen,
just the little belly area that's what I used to do with my Chow Husky mix. So it helps.
Yeah, I won't really do that.
And then a little bit more back to the behavioral and how to communicate with the dogs and stuff. So here, the last couple of days, I've taken my dog out. Well, the golden retriever is roughly 8 months old. Okay, so still pretty young and learning and all that kind of stuff. But I try to take him out for little walks here and there to just get him in different environments. But the couple of places that I've been a little bit more lately, there's more bicycles, or cycles.
Yep.
And so, he kind of gets the stop and what's going on.
Yeah.
And then as soon as those bicycles come closer, it's backing up and kind of getting behind me.
Yeah.
And all of that. And I guess part of my question is, what do I need to do to help make them more comfortable? Is it something totally different away from bicycles, or is it kind of just keep going out, but just don't worry about getting close to them? And, I don't know. So
we do, Diane and I do a 3 count for dogs when they see anything that could bring them into reactivity. And it works like this. When they look at the thing, that's count 1. So the second they see the bike, 1, okay? Then you give them a second count, 2, and they need to be looking back at you or away from the bike on 3, okay? So it goes, I think of it this way: look at me, look at me, look at me, right? And that gives me the time to get them back. So that means I've either called their name, turned them around with a treat, moved away. And the reason why is that last beat, the look at me, if I don't get them, that's when they're going to bark or they're going to pull or whatever. So it gives that pattern for me to pull them away. So he looks, that's 1, 2, back at me. That's the 3rd beat. Look at me. Okay. If you wait, if you count, let's see, he looks for 2 beats and then you start, he's going to bark on that 3rd beat. Okay. And so that's one way to do it. And that's like the root of all the other things that, that we have a look at me, actual guide. We've got engage, disengage. We've got all kinds of games we can do, but the gist is interrupt him on that 3rd beat, even if he's not freaking out, because what's happening is he's getting aroused. His autonomic system, the vagus nerve parasympathetic part, the yellow, is getting spiked, and you're interrupting it.
Yeah.
It doesn't just keep going.
Also, too, if you're doing this like on a bike trail where they're biking and you have a narrow space, try to create more space then. Find a place where he can see the bikes, but not on trail, because that's a hard place to train. It's usually too active and there's too much happening. So if you can find a place where there are bikes, but you can come off trail so he can see them in a way that isn't scary, like the bikes coming out of nowhere, or like my dog hates bikes that come up from behind because he can't hear them and then they're all of a sudden there. So if you can practice there, again, look at the bike from the distance, they can see the activity, practicing that 1, 2, 3 count, look at it, look at me kind of thing, and then slowly decrease the distance so that, look, we're slightly closer, but we're still going to do the same thing. But that's where, if you can find, and again, I got the note, and I will do this, I will put together a list of some of my favorite places to go to practice, to go out on trail, to do fun things with your dog that aren't so overactive, like some of the places in Austin. There are a lot of them. If you're willing to kind of get outside of the Austin area, Austin proper, there's a lot of trails and parks, big parks that you can go to do that kind of practice with them.
Okay. All right.
Cool. Groovy. I know we promised to switch over and talk about fireworks. I don't want to cut anyone off if you were waiting. I know Dorothy was, but she's not in the chat right now, so I'll get back to her if she comes back in. Is there anything else about dog body language before we go?
I just want to say real quick, I want to thank you because I feel like an idiot.
No.
For what I've been doing, but we've had Nellie 3 years, and I'll lean down and get close to her face, this is so stupid.
No.
I'll say, give me a kiss, and her head goes like that, and he gets like,
It's
oh, you don't love me. That's not true. I know that.
I learned the same with my Jack Russell. I would give, who's my puppy, and he would do the same. He's like,
oh Lord, what are you doing?
yeah, what are you doing? And then I found out about it. I'm like, oh my God, that poor dog. You know?
Y'all need to brush your teeth first.
Yeah, you're right.
I want to thank you though, because I
Oh,
feel like that's been solved, you know.
oh, well,
Yeah.
thank you. It's hard. It's, don't feel stupid, because again, most
all
of
about
us
learning.
don't know. And we know because obviously we've trained for this
Studied it,
and
yeah.
studied this. But
Mhm.
these are the things that aren't kind of being put out in the dog world and universe for people to really understand. So that, most of us don't know. It's that, and don't even know to ask or even think about it. So again, that's just most pet parents.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, you touched on this earlier, social media poisons so many
Oh,
things
yeah.
because you see all these cute little videos that are meant to show something totally different than what they really are. And you don't really know all the behind the scenes thing. You're seeing, a 15-second clip.
Yeah.
I have such a horrible collection of people being bitten in the face because of that. It's just crazy. And these poor people, they just don't know, and they get these horrible bites. Thanks, Kathy. Thanks, everybody.
Yes.
Let's switch over to fireworks, all of our favorite topics.
Yay.
Yeah. So this is not going to be a huge presentation. I actually just have one graphic as a conversation starter, and we're going to brainstorm and get you some, ideas of what to do. And Brandy already started us off, honestly. The one thing I want to say is that, Texas, people all over my area are set things off. One of our neighbor gets up on his roof and sets things off on the roof. And so, they fly over and pop by my windows,
good Lord.
here. So I get you. And so I put together just this graphic, and I'll make sure that Michelle has it in a way that she can send it out if you'd like it. And you can zoom in. I'll zoom in on this too. But this is something that's very simple, and it's so I'm just going to just slice through and get it real straightforward. The way to combat the noise for your dog is to create a sanctuary space, kind of like a den. And even though dogs are not den animals, what we're going to do is buffer by giving them a space that's almost like a fantasy space to be in while all this hubbub is going on. One of the first things to consider is if your dog can tolerate any kind of medication or supplement, and the medication has come for your vet, and if you do that, or a supplement, definitely bring that on board. Don't be a weenie about it. Just do it if it's okay by everybody. Because if you wait and you get till your dog is already frantic, it takes too long for the medication to really work. You're better off just go ahead and get your dog the medication or the supplement ahead of time. So that's the first thing I'm going to say. If you do decide to get a supplement, make sure it has L-theanine in it. That is the precursor to the neurotransmitters that help your dog become calm. L-theanine, T-H-E-A-N-I-N-E. That's just a regular supplement. You don't have to get a prescription for it. There's all of them. They say calming chew. Just make sure it has that ingredient in it. It doesn't matter if it's CBD or anything else. The L-theanine is what works. If your dog is a candidate for gabapentin or trazodone or Xanax, and your vet says, yes, I will prescribe that, do it. And do it before, 2 hours before fireworks will start, or before they go through the heavy part. Because, like I said, once their system is wound up It's very difficult for the medication to bring them back down. Okay. So that's the biggest thing. So then what you want to do is create a space in your house that is insulated from the noise as best you can. It's probably going to be the part of your house that you would go to for your tornado alert, honestly. If it works out that way. Like we have a cubby under our stairs that's storage. And I had a dog that was so terrified of storms that she actually, we have a deck out back. There's about this much room between the bottom part of the deck and the ground. She was a full-size cattle dog. She was 70 pounds, a big dog. And she squeezed under it out of terror and actually pulled skin off. It was horrible.
Oh.
She's that terrified. So I had to put her in the quietest space in the house. So we cleaned out from under the stairs. That was where we go for tornadoes. And, you know, I padded it with all the like couch pillows. So it was insulated, and made a bed for her in there. Okay. So the first thing is you find the quiet space in the quietest place in the house, and you make a squishy den for them. Okay. If you can, then you want to put a noise machine of some kind, and you don't have to spend money on this. If you have a phone, or if you have an old phone that you can hook up to your Wi-Fi, you can go on Spotify or other free music apps, and you want to play brown noise. And if your dog doesn't like brown noise, you play pink noise. And you want to play it so loud that 90% of the sound outside of that space is drowned out. So this is not soft, gentle noise. It's like being in the middle of the ocean. It's loud. And it blocks out all the sound outside that room. What it sounds like is honestly, I mean, it like, you know, like airport. It's like being inside an airplane. It blocks out the noise. Okay. You could have another device in there that plays music too, if you want to. So you're blocking the noise outside of the space with the brown noise, and then you're layering music that sounds nice inside, if you want to do that. That is really good. That is probably the most important part. It's better than putting headphones on the dog or a happy hoodie to block sound, mostly because they don't like having things on their head. You know, they feel like they're trapped. But if you can do the brown or pink noise, that really helps. If they don't like the noise and you have to put something on their head, look on Amazon for something called a happy hoodie. It's a compression sleeve that's knitted that you put over their head, and you pull it forward and close their ear flaps. It looks like a snood. And it really just blocks out sound. And it actually, because of the compression, it activates the vagus nerve. Kind of keeps them calm. Okay. They're very inexpensive. They're like $12.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're in the space where it has a plug, go to, it could be Amazon or Chewy has them. I prefer Chewy. Get an adaptal diffuser. And that's ADAPTIL, adaptal diffuser. What that does is it diffuses a pheromone into the space that the dog can smell. It's the same pheromone that they had when they were a puppy, when they were nursing, and it calms them and tells them they're safe.
I have a question real quick back on the, this might be a dumb question, I don't know, on the happy hoodie.
Yeah. Which
I have a dog that she's so petrified, and we do all the things, and she still is off the charts.
Okay.
So the happy hoodie is something that really could work for her, but her ears don't go down. Naturally, they go out.
Mhm.
How does that impact a dog whose ears go out?
You can fold them back. You
I
can
mean,
tuck them.
it doesn't, will that be uncomfortable or would that create any kind of an issue? I hadn't even thought about it, but her ears aren't like floppy like a golden. So I didn't know.
No, you shouldn't. Should be fine. Because I put them on all kinds of dogs. You know, the ears that naturally poke straight up and are stiff, you can just kind of fold them this way, you know, and have them go down on top of the head. So I think it'd be okay. I think I'm going to be able to send the Create a Sanctuary flyer to you guys through our chat here. So you can just get it. Hold on a second. That would be cool. Sanctuary.
I'm sorry, did you say the Adaptol is over the counter?
Yeah. Yes, it's over the counter. Chewy has it.
Okay.
I think Amazon has it. Usually Chewy has it all the time. I mean, they always have it stocked. Here we go. Create a Sanctuary. I think this is the right one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the right one.
Yeah, I was looking at the pictures of the Happy Hoodie. They actually show it on cats too. So cats normally have their ears up. So I'm assuming that as long as you kind of fold them gently, it's probably not an issue.
I'm buying one. I'm buying it.
Yeah.
I'm
investing.
I know it's going to be a rough weekend, so I'm
Yeah.
prepared.
Yeah.
It's nuclear war for dogs. It's just
It really is. Okay, I've got a couple things I'm going to share with you in a second, but I'm going to keep telling you, keep going through this list for you. Okay, so we've gone through, you know, create the space, block the sound, right? Give them the supplement, and if for some dogs, knock them out with drugs. And we're gonna, you know, get a nice soft bed. And I would recommend wear a t-shirt that you don't really care much about the day before and really sweat in it and put it down in the bedding that you're going to put them on. So they have your scent all the time. And then be prepped with things like licky mats and things to chew. And be prepared to sit in there with a book. Hang out with your dog.
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
Those are all the like top line defenses. If you successfully block the sounds out, you're going to win.
Yeah.
Yep. Be prepared for a lot of panting.
Yeah.
But that's, you know, blocking the sounds out. That's the
key.
That's the key. Okay, let me see if I can get this handout shared to you right now. I believe it might even be already shared. Let's see.
While Debbie's doing that, does anybody have any questions?
So I have a comment just because I don't know that anybody here would necessarily do that that's still on the call, but I know what I think the answer is, but I'm curious what you guys think about a crate during this time. I mean, I guess if it's a dog safe space and they're already comfortable, but if you don't know that a dog is going to do well in a crate, it wouldn't seem like a good idea to me.
Yeah. Yeah, if they've never done crate before or, you know, aren't comfortable in it, that would not be the choice. But if it is, you know, if they go, this is my favorite spot on the face of the planet, and also the crate is located somewhere in the house where, again, you can dampen the sound. So if it's, you know, near a window or something where the sound can really easily come in, you could try moving it as long as, again, your dog is really comfortable with the crate being in a different location. But you would want it to be a really secure place for them. And that might be a time too where you might leave the door open, just so that, again, if they do get fearful and feel like they need to move around, you're not kind of locking them in there and then they can't get out, and then it creates a panic. So just be careful if you're using a crate. Debbie, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
no, you're right. I mean, confinement, if they're not used to confinement can send them, totally freak them out.
Yeah.
So, you know, I wouldn't confine a dog that has not already learned confinement. And, you know, I had a dog that I had to just walk in circles with a leash. You know? It's just what they can do. I just put 2 links in the chat for you. They may have popped up. You'll want to click on them now because once we get offline, you can't access them. The first one is the Create a Sanctuary handout that has all the things to do. And the second one is the Happy Hoodie link. So they popped up in the chat, and the chat is down on the far right corner. It's the little thought bubble that has lines in it.
And it looks like Alyssa, you have a question for us?
I do. It's sort of a rookie question.
Please, love
but
rookie questions.
Well, I've been to your past couple of webinars and everything, so it's so fabulous. I think you're both amazing.
Thank you.
So I've been practicing a little bit since last month's webinar when one of my dogs alerts me as to, you know, a speck of dust moving outside the door or anything happening. I always thank her. I've been thanking her profusely. And I just was wondering, it sounds really different. I'm a little slow to connect the dots. Her reaction sounds really similar, the sort of short, sharp barks when there's thunder, fireworks, that sort of thing. But if I'm understanding correctly, she's not alerting me so much as telling me she's hurting, right? I mean, is there anything, I think my knee-jerk reaction is to sort of talk to my dog sometimes, but it doesn't sound like that would necessarily have much role in this particular scenario, or would it? I was just curious.
Well, 2 things. It has a role in the fact that you're going to be stressed because your dog is stressed. And so you comforting your dog is going to release your tension, which will also help your dog be less tense. Okay. So, you know, go ahead and talk it out because it'll help you be less stressed, which will help your dog. As far as talking to them, they may not get any meaning from it, but they do get comfort from the tone. Okay. So, you know, that little percentage of the box that was tone can be really helpful. And so, you know, that the soothing, the calming, the lullaby kind of stuff can be really helpful. And if you pair that with some of the vagus nerve, you know, very slow touch, working on calming, that can be really useful.
Thank you. I mean, it's so helpful. I think it will relax me quite a bit more trying some of your techniques. Yeah. So I think it kind of has this great ripple effect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet. I mean, you're in a relationship. The two of you need to be calm, right? So it works for you too. Yeah.
Well, just as a suggestion or an idea, I have a client who has a dog who really does hate storms and everything like that. And their daughter will go out with him in his safe space and she reads to him. So, you know, again, doesn't understand the story, even though she makes up stories about the dog. The dog has a whole life. He's traveled the world. He likes pasta Alfredo and he's married. Who knew? But, you know, again, you know, she just does that, the calm reading, and he really appreciates that. He tunes into her because of it. So while he may not know the story, it still makes him happier during the scary times.
Yep. And I have clients that get so stressed when they're working with their reactive dogs on walks that I have them sing songs so that their breathing is appropriate, because most people with reactive dogs hold their breath and their dogs get stressed. So it's like, well, I need you to breathe. So sing. What is it? Sing Disney, sing Christmas carols. I don't really care what you sing, but you need to sing something. And they're like, really? Yeah.
Well, see, Debbie, here's where the problem is for us old folks who haven't seen all the new Disney movies with all the new songs. I'm trying to pull out a Disney tune from way back when, and the only thing I can ever think of is Zippity Doo Dah.
Girl, you are so out of touch. I know all of them.
I know.
I know Moana. I know Brave. I mean, come on. It's because I have grandchildren. Okay. So did you get the links? Did you get the handout? Did you get the happy hoodie? Everybody's good. Okay.
I'm sorry, Brandy, you have a question?
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna log off soon because we got to do bath time. But Ogden Wyman. Anyways, sorry. Okay. but like I never thought I would be this lady until the beloved Benito came into our world. And but I've started I have someone who comes and gives him acupuncture.
Oh yeah. Fantastic.
Yes. You're not like, girl, you're throwing your money away. That's silly.
No.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No. I mean, acupressure and acupuncture, those are true, autonomic techniques. Those are not just,
I mean, he falls asleep.
Yeah.
And, like the guy who does it, he's a vet and he makes house calls. Really cool guy.
Yeah.
Tons of experience. But like Benito falls asleep in his lap. Well,
Yeah.
okay.
Right. Yeah, all that massage, acupressure, acupuncture, all those things, especially if the dog enjoys it. It's like people too. Some will enjoy it and some are like, what are you doing? But yeah, absolutely. All those.
Okay, cool. And when he sees Dr. Clay coming, like he's pumped, like he's happy to see him. And, there's Okay. All right. I'm going to go. Ladies, thank you so much. This was so wonderful. And Alyssa, thank you for inviting me. Okay.
Hey, and that kid of yours is really sharp, Brandy. Good job.
I know. I'm very proud of
the workshops to him.
I'm so proud of him. He's the reason we have Benito. He wrote me a
Brandy, can I give Ogden a shout out? Actually, Ogden researched Gold Ribbon Rescue. And so he kind of led Brandy. Hey, Ogden.
Ogden, you did great.
I wanted to say he's the reason that they found Gold Ribbon, which is pretty amazing, right?
That's right. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So, and we worked together and then we just got blessed, man. We got blessed with this really great dog and he's changed our lives and we love him so much. Okay. Thanks.
Good night. Have a great evening.
Bye. Bye. You have to go take a bath.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Oh my God, I gotta log off. I'm so annoying. Okay, hold on. I'll mute.
Anybody else? Questions, concerns, comments?
I have a question. Once I see the links, but how do you save them or what do you do with them?
So you go ahead and click on them and it'll open a browser for you.
It should. You let us know if it doesn't. On my end, it's working. Okay.
Yeah, make sure it does.
Is that working?
Well,
no.
I don't know.
Okay, so we'll email. We'll get it to you by email, Sarah.
Okay. All right.
I have it downloaded. I can send it out.
Okay. Thank you.
Particularly the one about creating a safe space.
Okay.
Because she just basically shakes.
No.
She doesn't, go crazy, but
okay. Well, yeah, it's hard. It's so hard.
Thanks so much, though. You've been. I mean, I tell everybody that how great y'all are because I've learned so much.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. It's our pleasure. We love doing this.
We love doing this. It's so much fun.
Anybody else we can answer questions?
Yeah.
Good. Yep. We want to get your dogs through. And no, too, if something does pop up, especially, the time is, I can't believe the 4th is almost here, but, if something does pop up along the way and you're like, oh, have questions about it, please let us know.
Yeah.
We're happy to help in any way we can because we understand how hard it is for some dogs.
Yeah, and our email is easy. It's info@cspotbehave. That's simple.
Oh, great.
Pop us an email. We'll get back to you and give our best thoughts about how to help.